fine with just your typical volume delays. That's it. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Seems like a full-time job, deflecting the job offer to not try for the job of Pennsylvania's next senator. Did you follow that?
Did you? Yeah, I know. Some say it's a snow job. Others say it's all part of the job. Do you get it?
More importantly, how do we get jobs to our state of Pennsylvania? Let's ask this man right here, Congressman Joe Sestak. Joe, good to see you.
Good to be here.
I have not had you here since the election, so congratulations.
Yeah.
So it's great. I honestly think the people of Pennsylvania have won because I think Washington, D.C. has had too many people who have actually focused on Wall Street, large oil companies, rather than what they need, jobs.
Well, let's talk about the oil real quickly here. In the Navy for all those years. Not that makes you an expert on what we should do in a big body of water like the Gulf, but what do you think we should do?
Well, first of all, we have to get more accountability. The Interior Department, which oversees this, has had an Inspector General report since 2008 that actually says the oil companies have been writing their own inspection reports. That the oil companies did not have any plans, proper plans for catastrophe. They used the wrong modeling of how to assess it. So that is what has to be done. Right now, we have to continue to have a sense of urgency. The government even has to intercede if BP in the next 24 hours, and we should have done this weeks ago, like the Netherlands does, that within 12 hours, if they do not, the oil companies take control and do it well, you have the expertise from the government.
We have that expertise?
We do. We actually,
Where is it?
There are many people over the years, as the reports have come out, who have said BP's plans of how to handle a catastrophe are wrong, that they do not have the right types of immediate means to drill wells that are relief wells and all. So if we had done the job over the right years of not letting the oil companies drive things, but that you had proper oversight over them, we would not have had the immense, after this accident occurred, catastrophe we've had.
Is it going to change our oversight?
It has to change. Actually, that's why I'm running. I think Washington, D.C. likes to be responsible, but no one wants to be accountable. Look, when they dismantled regulation of Wall Street, to Wall Street, that was a market correction for a year, but we lost our homes here in Pennsylvania. Look, we need a referee on the football field. People have let special interests from large oil companies to Wall Street dictate our policies in Washington, D.C. Jobs here in Philadelphia, we've lost 100,000 in the last 30 years. Where's the small businesses here in Pennsylvania that create those jobs?
Can you win?
Not big business.
Let's look at the latest Rasmussen poll. 45% for your opponent, 38% for you. Can you win this thing?
Oh, without a question. Look, polls come, they go. Remember the primary? Our first poll, we were 46 points down. Look, at the end of the day, there's only one endorsement that matters. That's the people outside this studio that actually believe that someone might work for them as a public servant, willing to lose their job over doing what's right for them. Imagine if people have been working hard in that Interior Department or oversight from the Senate to make sure that oil companies who get $80 billion in tax cuts, loopholes, had actually been held accountable before this crisis happened. That's what I think people want.
And let's talk a little bit about
fix that.
About the people outside of the studio. One of the things that the results of this election are going to hinge on is how we bring jobs to this state. How are you going to do that?
It's about small businesses. It's about the tool and die shop. If we give a 15% tax credit to any small business that creates a payroll job, legislation that I've been pushing for a year, we will soak up 5 million unemployed within 2 to 2.5 years. The tax cuts have gone to Wall Street and big corporations. We've got to refocus that. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania has had half the growth in small businesses in the last 30 years of the national average. That's why our job creation has been half. That's the key. And the Bush administration slashed the Small Business Administration in half of the startup loans that help us grow jobs. That's the key, and that's where the majority of Philadelphians work.
Okay, your opponent, Pat Toomey, is going to hammer away at this job situation. The job, was he offered a job by the Obama administration? It's not going to go away for a while, and you have to probably answer it every single day. We haven't seen you since the election, so I'm going to bring it up. Karl Rove made this statement. We all know who Karl is, the architect in the George Bush administration. Put him into office.
The administration that slammed our economy.
Karl Rove said this about your job offer from the Obama administration. Either you're lying about it or you're covering for a felon in the White House. Which is it?
It's one thing. I understand the right wing who have slammed this nation, ripped our economy open, in an election season will hide from their record. Karl Rove, my opponent, Congressman Toomey, who created derivatives in the early 80s on Wall Street, then went down to Congress and submitted the legislation that dismantled any regulation for Wall Street, then headed Club for Growth, which John McCain called a bagman for the ultra-rich. I understand why they don't want to, right now with oil spewing out there, and Congressman Toomey saying it's almost criminal to have any regulation of the oil industry, might want to distract attention away what matters to what you asked me, Kerry. What about the jobs for people in Pennsylvania? No, here's the issue. When people try to dissuade me to get out of this race, I said it's not about my job. And this is what people believe in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. It's about their job. And we're not going to let them, just like in the primary, anything but this. Is fight for the policies and the jobs that they need.
But when people said I was offered a job means that you get paid to do something. But now it turns out it was an appointment. Was it an appointment or was it a job?
Who knows? I didn't parse any words because all I knew is, as everybody knew, the political establishment of my party wanted me out.
Right.
You know what? I wanted to be the senator from Pennsylvania for one reason, and which is why, Mike, I didn't run for my congressional job simultaneously, even though I could have. I want to say it's not about my job. It's about you. Can someone go down there and be a public servant for you, willing to say politics be darned? It's about principle and fighting for people who have been forgotten.
And you're comfortable saying that you're an outsider, you're a congressman, for goodness sake.
I'm willing to do. Well, actually, I'm a sailor. 31 years
well,
Navy.
yeah.
And I love the Navy. I've now got the next best job if you can't be in the Navy. I owe this nation. It saved my daughter when she had a brain tumor. And yes, I'll stand up, as John F. Kennedy once said, when the party asks too much, I will stand up every day for the working families and those that want to work. Because basically I want to work for Republicans, Independents, and Democrats as their public servants.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
November's right around the corner.
I know.
Looking forward to it.
Approaching, huh?
Every day it's going to be like this. Good to have you here.
Thanks. Good to be
Thank
back, Mike. Thanks.
Okay, let's talk about this. It has survived